Well, it's that time of year again for me to plant a fall garden and to try and germinate some seeds. And you would think that you just take the little seed, you put it in the ground, you put some water on it, and it's going to grow for you. But my track record has been pretty poor this year. Not quite sure what I'm doing wrong. Here on the Figs Fowl Farm, that's what we're going to talk about today. How do we get those little seeds to grow? Just this little teeny tiny thing has all the information stored in it to be able to grow this beautiful plant, sometimes a giant plant, and all of this fruit and everything from one tiny little seed. But sometimes it's really tricky to get that seed to grow. And I've had that kind of a year of not being able to get seeds to grow. I really struggled to get my cucumber seeds to start to grow. I must have replanted them 3 or 4 times. Fortunately, enough of them took off that I'm going to have some beautiful cucumbers this year. I also really struggled with bok choy. I planted bok choy everywhere. Every place I could think of, I planted it. Eventually, I did have some success. Another thing I really struggled with has been carrots. I have planted so many carrots in so many places, and I've got maybe 3 or 4 carrots out of the whole batch. That's all I got. The other thing I've really struggled with is beets. I love beets. I love pickled beets. I planted beets everywhere. I planted them in every little grow pot that I could find and in the garden, hoping that maybe something would grow. I have very few beets. I decided this year I'm going to plant some sugar peas, and I have planted 2 packages of sugar peas, and this is all that I've gotten out of it. Because again, it just hasn't germinated very well. Basil has been something that I have really struggled with. I finally got a little bit of basil growing. It was looking beautiful, and then it was gone in the fire. So I started all over, and I kept it in pots. Fortunately, I didn't put any herbicide on it, and so my basil survived. Slowly, it has begun to grow, and now it's flourishing, and I am amazed at how well that has done. I had an area where I planted winter squash. The seeds just didn't come up. I replanted them again, and they're still struggling. They're teeny tiny compared to the other spot where I planted winter squash. I don't know how much lettuce seed has failed. I've planted and nothing's coming up. I finally gave up and just went to the nursery and bought little pony packs. There have been some seeds that I have been surprised at how well they've done. I tried eggplant this year for the first time, and I have amazing plants. I have taken pepper seeds and planted them just as an experiment, and I had so many peppers. My garden is full of peppers. Tomato seeds have really done well. I took them from tomatoes that I bought at the store and just planted them in the ground. Fortunately, those few plants that have germinated have been enough to give me a harvest of some kind. It's just been really frustrating as I look at the length of time it takes for seeds to germinate, and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting, and nothing's happening. And then I've lost all that time, and I've had to start all over again and plant it again, and then wait again and hope that maybe something will grow. It's just this cycle, this continual cycle. Well, I have done my research and I know how deep to plant seeds, so I know that's not the problem. Maybe it was not enough sunlight, maybe too much water, maybe it was the seeds that I had. I bought them from a big corporate store and maybe they were just bad seeds. whatever it was, I'm going to try again next year. And I have lots of seeds that I have harvested throughout my grow season from all of my plants that bolted. And so I'll try again. And I'll use my greenhouse where I can control how much sunlight and how much heat they get. And I'll try and do a little bit better on water. But I'm open to any suggestions that you might have. So leave them in the comments below. And don't forget, folks, like, subscribe, and come back and watch more of the Figs Fowl Farm. And we'll see you next time. This is what comes from living in the big city and having your garden in your backyard. And all of your neighbors' dogs decide to bark their little heads off when you want to video something. Ah, silence. Okay, let's see if we can get this done. Oh.